Literally everyone is talking about ChatGPT and how bonkers it is, so I had to try it out. I prompted it with, write a short story about the Warrior Erradic and his adventure on the Dragon Isles, and this is what I got. Erradic was a fierce and powerful warrior, known throughout the land for his bravery and skill in battle. He had fought countless battles and emerged victorious each time, earning the respect and admiration of his fellow warriors. One day, he received word of great adventure on the Dragon Isles, a place filled with danger and adventure. Without hesitation, Erradic set out on the journey, determined to face whatever challenges lay ahead. As he arrived on the Dragon Isles, he encountered a fierce dragon, its scales shiny in the sun and its breath hot and fierce. Erradic knew that this would be a difficult battle, but he was determined to succeed. With a fierce cry, he charged at the dragon, his sword held high. The dragon roared and breathed fire, but Erradic was quick and agile, dodging the flames and landing powerful blows on the beast. For what seemed like hours, they fought, each determined to emerge victorious. Finally, with a mighty swing of his sword, Erradic dealt the dragon a fatal blow, and it fell to the ground with a mighty thud. Erradic stood victorious, his chest heaving with exertion, and his sword still clutched in his hand. He had faced the greatest challenge of his life and emerged victorious, earning the respect and admiration of all who witnessed the battle. And so, Erradic returned home a hero, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead in his future adventures.